consumed, and we've spent billions.
Billions.
Trying to improve this technology.
Synthetic Fuels Agency, which was part of the alternative energy programs at the end of the Ford but mostly in the Carter administration, were $88 billion spent at that time. And $88 billion back then was a lot more money than $88 billion sounds today. But we have spent immense amounts of money.
Developing solar, developing wind, developing batteries, that kind of stuff.
Developing things to make it economic.
Now Vermont still thinks that the state can make leaps and bounds above what the federal government has done, even though they've spent billions and brought it up this far. So we're still being basically taxed because we're being forced to buy this more expensive power. I mean, it's money out of our pockets to try to do what the federal government has only been able to get so far. Is that a fair statement?
Well, no, I'm not. Actually, I don't think it's quite fair.
Okay.
The federal government has done the R&D. Now, Vermont's legislature is concerned with the next step, which is getting it into the marketplace. Just like TVs, just like computers. You know, once you need to develop the market to then expand the usage and drive the price down, as has happened with every technology. And so the legislature has said, we'll take a small amount of power and we'll require it be bought at these prices, which, yes, is a subsidy, yes, is paid for by everybody else, but we will protect the ratepayers by putting a cap on it. Because it's not all the power that wind can produce, it's the total amount for this feed-in tariff is what it's called, is limited to 50 megawatts, I believe.
Right, 50 megawatts.
Which is, and the state normally has about 1,000 megawatt peak. So it's just a small chunk.
It's a small chunk now, but will it stay there?
Well, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I saw a blog post which said that it was describing what was coming down in the future, and they had some input from some legal firm that works a lot with the legislature. But this is one of the things they said was the idea would be that feed-in tariffs would be increased in the future. That's what the legislature wants to do, as long as it doesn't add more than 1% a year to people's power bills. So, but of course, in 10 years, then your power bills have gone up 10% because of the feed-in tariffs. Another thing that I really want to point out is that the legislature has been very effective at extracting money from Entergy. And one of the ways they did that was that when Entergy wanted to upgrade and have dry cask storage, they said, fine, but guess what? We'll make it, you'll get that from us, but you have to put a couple $1 million a year into what's called the Clean Energy Development Fund, the CEDF. That fund partially supports wind energy and solar energy. So it's Entergy money going into wind energy and solar energy. Well, you can imagine that the renewable people are, you know, they don't want nuclear power, but then again, they don't exactly want the Clean Energy Development Fund to go away either, because that is
that's a major feed of that money.
It's a very major feed of that money. According to this blog post, which I didn't do the research for, but the legislature is considering adding $1.50 to $2 to everyone's power bill to feed the Clean Energy Development Fund if Vermont Yankee goes away. So the deal would be that we went through all this stuff about, well, here's how much the generator gets and here how much the distribution company gets. We also have another thing on our bills for Efficiency Vermont, and they would be adding on another thing called the Clean Energy Development Fund.
And that doesn't say anything about our power costs are going up in all those levels anyway.
No, that isn't.
I mean, so I'm just saying, our people could say, well, you're okay. I can afford $1 or $2 more a month to feed that, but your bill's going up across the board.
Yeah,
it's going to go up.
It's going to go up.
Cost of power are going up.
Right.
With the new contracts. Let's take a little segue here and talk about the future of nuclear. We have about 10 minutes left, and so what is it? I mean, maybe we can't talk about it, the future in this country, because we're trying to ignore this technology or suppress this technology. But what's the world doing, and what are they getting? What are they doing?
Well, let me give you one new number that in preparing to join you all today, I found, and it was a projection of the number of nuclear power plants we would need to generate the electricity to replace our fossil fuel programs. And they say 7 plus times the total number of amount of nuclear energy generated in the United States today. So they're saying
So we have 100 plants today, approximately.
so we're talking 700 to 1,000 new nuclear power plants.
At a certain size, of course,
That's
or something.
worldwide, yeah.
No,
No,
this
no.
is United States.
To replace our coal burning, gas burning, and oil burning, which, people are saying we want to clean up the pollution.
But let's go back to something that's a little more close to reality, because I think we all agree that's too much. China's building nuclear power plants as fast as they can get financing to do it, and as fast as they can get agreement for the technology transfers that will give them the capability to do all the building themselves. We have watched Westinghouse be bought by one Japanese group that used to be sort of an assistant small partner. We've seen General Electric Nuclear go to another Japanese firm.
So we're exporting a
We've
lot of
exported
technology.
our technology. China historically has been very efficient, as has India and Japan, at getting technology transferred along with the sale of units.
The big picture is that according to the latest annual survey, which American Nuclear Society's magazine Nuclear News does every year, 32 countries around the world have nuclear power programs. So everybody else is pretty much shifting into high gear because they have looked at all the alternatives, and particularly China, who had to clean up their air for the Olympics, knows that they have a big problem with coal. And they want to replace coal, which is with nuclear power for generating electricity, which was the original reason Congress in this country authorized a nuclear power program, to replace coal. So, we're falling behind. And the perfect example about technology transfer is that the United Arab Republics are going to build nuclear power plants, and they're going to be built by South Korean firms. Where do you think the South Koreans got the technology and got their learning? From us, Well, that's not all bad, but we ought to be in the competitive mix rather than sort of on the sidelines and just getting started with a couple new nuclear power plants in this country right now.
Well, I think even our universities have cut back on their programs of training.
They have, but they're coming back.
Well, I think the reality, I think what we're talking about, the reality of energy issues, energy use, energy, trying to have as clean an energy source as possible is forcing the hand.
I'd like to just be a little bit more upbeat about it, mainly because of my maybe because some of my friends. Babcock and Wilcox is building what they call SMBR, right? Small modular
reactors. Yeah.
SMRs, small modular reactors, and they're developing those. And I have been happy to see several of my friends in the nuclear industry beginning to work on them, getting jobs at B&W and so forth. My feeling is that kind of thing is America's really only hope for leapfrogging into the future, because basically the MOX fuel is being made all over the world. We're going to be Johnny-come-latelys on that. The thorium reactors are going in India. We're going to be Johnny-come-latelys on that. But hopefully, maybe B&W and some other companies can get these small modular reactors designed and built in America, and that would be terrific. So that's mine.
And what let's talk a little bit on the jobs follow a good energy source, I think, and and business development follows a good, reliable energy source. And if that's our number one issue, is being competitive in the world, what do we have to do?
We have to rethink our whole way of looking at jobs and energy, I think. I mean, people seem to think that electricity comes from Santa Claus.
Or no, it comes from the switch in the wall there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I
You didn't know that, it's there.
And the cost of it doesn't matter to anything, and it matters to a lot of things. I mean, there are people in small manufacturing companies in Vermont who have gotten up. I've heard them say, I spend $1 million a year in electricity. If the price raises, I don't know if I can keep my manufacturing in Vermont. And they're not trying to.
This is common.
This is a reality of life. I think you began by talking about the opposition to the power line coming down through New Hampshire. And one of the unfortunate side effects of the environmental movement, which is correct, in concern about the environment, but some people have taken that to mean they're against everything. You know, no matter what it is, they're against it. If it's new or if it has some effect on the environment. And we need the political leadership to say that life is not that easy and there is a balance. There are some trade-offs. We always have to look at cost and benefit and environmental usage.
Right, we could say that, you know, we only want our power from wind, and that we are also therefore willing, when the wind stops blowing or the sun stops shining, that we won't use power, and if our pipes freeze at night, that, I guess, we'll just absorb that cost.
Or be burning wood, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we certainly don't want to use oil, you know, to heat our homes, or propane, you know.
Speaking of home heating, one of the things that I find sort of annoying is, I mean, I have an oil tank in my basement. Everybody does, most people do. But, you know, you could do geothermal ground source heating and get rid of that oil tank. But that takes electricity. Electricity actually can save us oil, not just in transportation, but in home heating. But that isn't really talked about very much, and I find it unfortunate.
But the capital investment involved
Is very high.
Is what really impacts that. Everything, unless the government's going to finance it all out.
And we know the governments are pretty much on the broke side at this point.
That's true.
Well,
That's true.
That's what really bothers me today is they talk all these programs of subsidy, and they don't have any money unless they borrow it to subsidize. And the jobs follow low-cost, reliable energy.
And on that note, I want to thank Meredith Angwin for coming, and Howard Shaffer, and Milt Eaton. And my name is Lynn Korm, I've been your host, and we want to thank you also for watching and bearing with us as we start our first show and begin this new series. Thank you again, we'll see you in our next show.